From the virtual headquarters of the MZ Studios in Dallas, this is Deconstructing Dallas. Greetings, everyone. It's your co-host, Ryan Trimble, coming to you once again in cyberspace. Joined today by a man who never forgets to call, one of our best listeners and one of the people that matters most to him in the world. That is his mother. He, of course, Shawn Williams. Shawn, good day, sir.
Hey, Ryan, good day, man. We are 1 day removed. We don't like to date our episodes if we can help it, but we are 1 day removed from Mother's Day. So we would be remiss if in retrospect and belatedly, if we did not wish all the mothers, including our own, a happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, especially since they're our most loyal listeners, as anybody on this that's listened to this show knows.
When you talk about been there from the beginning, obviously for both of us, but from the beginning of our show, they were our first probably test cases, our first listeners, the first people to give us feedback. And I just wanted to say for sure to my mom, Linda Williams, happy Mother's Day. And also, I guess I don't know if I've seen your mom since we did that walk, that 5K walk or the 1K walk, whatever we did last year.
Women's League. Yeah, Junior Women's League. Yeah. It's funny. I was looking on our Deconstructing Dallas Facebook page the other day, and feel free to follow us on Facebook, everybody out there. But I was noticing that one Linda Williams had commented, and it just made me feel all warm and cozy because she commented on some of our pictures like, "This is a great show. Thank you for producing such an outstanding show." So you can always count on Mom to give you
be totally unbiased.
Yes, precisely, Shawn.
So yeah, we are into our second show virtually. And we have a wonderful, outstanding, amazing guest coming up. But before we get to that, man, I was just struck because literally over the weekend, we've had some major losses in the world of entertainment for sure. And just in R&B and music, we lost Little Richard, who some called the inventor of rock and roll. Others, he said he's proclaimed himself the architect of rock and roll. We lost Betty Wright, who had hits like No Pain, No Gain, The Cleanup Woman. Andre Harrell, the founder of Uptown Records, he was a mentor for P. Diddy. And just this morning, Jerry Stiller, from my all-time favorite TV show, Seinfeld, passed. And man, I have like his one-liners, the Boca Vista, Serenity Now, but even Festivus is a holiday that we have celebrated here, I don't know, for years and years. So just, major losses in the world of entertainment that I feel like I need to give a shout out to.
Man, I mean, Little Richard. I mean, these are songs that guy, unbelievable. I mean, those are songs that are just like, how everybody calls tissue Kleenex? I mean, it's kind of like in the fabric of our society, his songs. Good golly, Miss Molly, Shawn. I mean, come on. These are classics. So,
yeah, fruity. I mean, that's the word, classics. And, he toiled in his craft, doing a lot of concerts. And there are a lot of other people who got credit for rock and roll before he was really given his due. But I think America finally came to realize just what he meant.
And great hair, by the way.
Always great hair. Just always had the look, man. He always had the look. Just an original. You talk about an original. I mean, Little Richard is that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Shawn, you teased it a second ago. We do have a great guest coming on the show. He, of course, is the former mayor of Dallas, the first African-American mayor of Dallas, and the former U.S. trade representative. He is one Ron Kirk, the Honorable Ron Kirk.
Yeah, my memories of Ambassador Kirk go way back. Just, I was in college when he was elected mayor of Dallas, and I just remember, reading the paper, and I think I still even have it, but reading the paper when he was elected and just being inspired.
Sure.
In College Station and being from Paris just really was always inspired. And now that we get to know him and see him from time to time, it's great. And I'm so thankful that he agreed to join our podcast.
Yeah, I first got to know the ambassador when I was working for Chairman Branch, of course. But one of my best memories of Ambassador Kirk was during a Mayor Rawlings reelect photo shoot. He met us down at a barbershop in Southern Dallas, down by Fair Park, and sat in the barber chair and took pictures with Mayor Rawlings, who was also sitting in a barber chair. They were yucking it up, but it was really a fun. It showed that he was supportive of, the city's leaders, which I think you need. I think you need these guys to be supportive of each other. Men and women that have sat in that chair. When they support you, I think it makes your job a whole heck of a lot easier in whatever executive position you're in. So,
and I believe that we have that picture in our office.
Yeah, we do. I walk by it a lot when I'm going to get snacks.
Well, yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this. Since we found out that he was going to be part of the podcast, I've been eagerly anticipating. I can't wait for some of the hard hitting questions that I'm sure you're going to ask when we get to speak to Ambassador Kirk. I know how you do it. I know that.
So, well, let's jump right into our interview with the ambassador after this quick break. This is Deconstructing Dallas. Ryan Trimble, Shawn Williams. Stick with us. Welcome back, Deconstructing Dallas. Ryan Trimble, Shawn Williams. Shawn, very excited to welcome our guest today. He, of course, the former mayor of Dallas, the former U.S. Trade Representative, the great, the honorable Ron Kirk. Mayor, Ambassador, welcome to the show.
Welcome. Thanks for having me. This sounds like the old days with the tickets. All we're missing is the flowing robes. I don't know, but
well, we can find that. We can go back. I know some of those guys.
No.
Yeah. Well, Shawn, I'm excited to welcome the ambassador today. I first got to meet him and know him when I was working for former Representative Dan Branch, of course. But speaking of Austin people, you are an Austin guy. How did you get to Dallas, Ambassador?
Well, I grew up. I am 65 years old, so I'm one of those. I'm old enough to have all those honorifics you referred to, but also be what I define as one of the test tube kids of the civil rights movement. Because when I was born in 1954, Austin was a segregated city. Now you can argue that it played out perhaps a little differently, in a school with a big influential institution like the University of Texas. But we were, my siblings and I were among the first generation to integrate public schools and have the chance to do all those things our parents dreamed of. But at least growing up, there was frankly no love lost between the black community and UT, because it was well into the 50s before UT admitted people of color. So I wanted to get away, but separately also knew I wanted liberal arts. So I chose to go to Austin College, which is up in Sherman, Texas, just north of here. It's a fabulous institution, but at the time, socially was a little bit depraved. So if you go to Austin College, it doesn't take you but a couple of weekends to figure out where everybody disappears to on the weekends, and it was Dallas. So after law school, I made the decision I wanted to make Dallas. That's where I wanted to start my practice.
And so after that decision, last week, we all celebrated the 25-year anniversary of your election as mayor of Dallas. And, it was exciting for our firm who had an opportunity to work on that campaign. But, what are your reflections looking back on that election?
Well, it's a little bit tempered by the current events, and and although I'm proud to reflect on my time as mayor, I think all of us would feel a little bit remiss if we didn't acknowledge we are just living in times that none of us could have ever imagined because of this pandemic. So, I hope that anyone that chooses to listen to this thing is safe and well, and that you and your loved ones are well. But then secondly, and you heard Ryan mention the fact that he worked with Allen Media, it was a little sobered for us because we were missing my just incredible friend, but cohort, my campaign manager, Carol Reed, who passed away from pancreatic cancer last fall. So we had a subdued celebration, but it was the most fun for me, Shawn, was we were, separately just going through our attic and trying to get rid of stuff and, make busy work while we're all stuck at home. And so the girls found a box with all of the newspaper articles and clippings. And I always talk about the fact that how young we were, but Catherine and Alex were only 6 and 3 years old. And the most comical thing for me has been watching Alex read all of my campaign articles and news materials now from a very different perspective. But it was a moment that I'm proud of, and I'd like to think, at the end of the day, more importantly, I did what I said in my inauguration speech, that I, didn't set out to make history. I just want to make a difference in our city.
So, Mayor, was there one moment that stuck out to you of those during your tenure as mayor that you're most proud of?
No, and one thing I always shared with Matrice, that I think success and life is made up of many moments. The joy is in those unexpected moments, and it's, and I think most people will understand. I always sort of hate to get that question, because that's like saying, Mayor, I know you've got 6 kids, but is there one that's more special than the other? I am proud more than anything that I think, whether people think I was a good mayor or a bad mayor, or agreed with everything we did, most people would agree at the time I came into office, there just was not much expectation among the public that anything good was going to come out of City Hall because of all the infighting. I mean, we were our own worst enemy, and whether looking back in terms of your question, if it was one thing, I don't believe we would have been able to accomplish anything. We wouldn't have been able to, construct a new performing arts center in the American Airlines Center, or pass the Trinity River, or any of the other things, had we not been successful in changing the culture at City Hall. So if I have to say it was one thing, it was convincing the council that we just had to stop being our own worst enemy, that we could have disagreements, we could feel very strongly about issues, but one of my rules was that you can say anything to anybody you want in my office in private, but when we're at the Horseshoe, we're going to be more efficient, we're going to be more civil, and we're going to try and focus on those commonalities that bind us all, that sort of transcended race or ideology, like the fact that we needed to start bringing jobs back into the city. We had to do a better job of basic city services. And once we started doing that, I think that laid the foundation for us to go forward and do some of the bigger projects that I'm associated with.
And we've seen a lot of the fruits of your labor from that time, you and your colleagues, and the work that you did. And you've had an opportunity to go off and do other things, but you're still here with us in Dallas. So how have you seen the city change over these last 25 years? And what do you think are the opportunities for Dallas moving forward?
Well, one of the things that humbled me when I was mayor was that so much of what we bragged on that made Dallas the dynamic city it was, the fact that, DFW Airport was and still is the biggest driver of our economy, that, the things that citizens don't worry about. Nobody ever worried about whether we were going to run out of water or whether we'd have. Well, those were tough decisions made by mayors and councils decades ago. And so what I saw as our challenge is what seeds could we plant then in 95 that would bear fruit later? And I will tell you, when I drive around the city and I look at the entire American Airlines